we hiked Tasmania and have our 3 favorite fun, moderate, great hikes that we want to share with you in this week's video. Where are we?
We are in Torquay Beach, which is a beautiful community just south of Melbourne in Australia. And if this is your first time here, we are Chris and Steve, EatWalkLearn. We have been traveling for the past 3 years. We left our home in Denver, Colorado in May of 2021 with 2 carry-ons and a plan, and we have been traveling ever since.
Right, with everything we own.
Everything we own in our bags.
So we decided that we wanted to go to Tasmania. Where is Tasmania?
Where is Tasmania? Tasmania is an island south of Australia, and it's as far south as you can go and be in Australia. And the reason that we went in February is the seasons are opposite of the northern hemisphere. So February is similar to what August might be in, say, in the United States. And since we're really far south in the southern hemisphere, we wanted to have the best weather of the year. And I think we got some great weather.
Yeah,
there.
It was unbelievable. It was like 22 degrees Celsius, 72 degrees and Fahrenheit. And the nights were kind of nippy and chilly. And it was just beautiful. I mean, it was great to be in another state in Australia and just get to know what they call Tassie. We went to Tassie.
Yeah. And what all I knew about Tasmania was that that's where the Tasmanian devil was from.
T-S, Tasmanian. Here it is.
Realistically, these are nocturnal animals. You don't see them very often. So
and we did get to see one, but we didn't see one in the wild. So
that's right.
And they certainly were not like the Tasmanian devil Looney Tunes, but it was fun to see. That's why we went, was to go see the Tasmanian devils and also to hike. And we did a lot of research on the types of hikes to do in Tasmania, and we kept on coming up with these big, long, beautiful, majestic hikes, like the 3 Capes hike and so on, which we want to do, but that requires a lot of planning and a lot of the right gear and carrying your own backpacks and tents and things. We didn't want to do that. We were looking for moderate hikes, day hikes that we could enjoy on our week-long trip through Tasmania. So where did we start?
Well, we flew in and out of Launceston, which is not the largest city in Tasmania. Hobart's the biggest city, but Launceston's got a really nice little airport, and the flights in and out were really affordable. And also the rental cars were really affordable. So That's the other thing about Tasmania is you pretty much need to have a rental car, your transportation if you want to get around the island. So we started in Launceston. We went east to the coast and started our journey there. And then we went south to Port Arthur, which has some amazing historical significance. And then over to Hobart, and then up to the Cradle Mountains, where we did some hiking there before we left again from Launceston. So we did a big circuit.
Right, but we're not here to tell you everything we did on our 7 days. We just want to focus on the 3 hikes, because a lot of people go to Tasmania, they're looking for a good hike, and we thought we'd narrow the noise down to what worked for us. So we were looking for good hikes with good views that may be a little bit challenging, that gave us a little bit of an aerobic workout, but still were beautiful and accessible and didn't kill us by the end of the day. So, and I think our longest hike was 6 or 7 hours, and our shortest hike was a couple hours. And we're going to share all those 3 hikes with you, including the length and the elevation gains, with all the pictures and the maps to go with it.
Yeah, and I think these are the best of the best. It was some of probably the 3 favorite hikes maybe that I've ever been on. I know, that's a lot.
There you go. So what we learned is, based on the parks that we were going to go to, that we needed to have a national park pass. Now, Australia does their national park passes differently. Each state has its own park pass. Even though it's a national park pass, it's run by the individual state. So Tasmania has a park pass for the parks in Tasmania. And if you get the pass, then you save yourself a lot of money on the individual entrance fees into the park. So we determined that we were going to be in 3 different national parks, which would require 3 different day passes. So instead, we got the 1 national park pass, which cost us $89.50 Australian for the carload. So that's about $60 American or US. And that's for the car and for the carload, and it's good for 2 months.
Right.
Which was actually, we thought was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was a good deal, and considering the quality of the parks, I think that was great. You can't avoid it. So you need it. You need the pass. You need to display it on your dashboard. So it's really important that just get it and just enjoy it.
Right. So the first national park we went to was Freycinet National Park,
Right.
where we picked up the pass. And then we went on the famous Wineglass Bay hike. Why did you pick this hike?
Yeah, so it's Wineglass Beach, and one of the things, this is just the iconic hike that's in Tasmania. You can't get to this beach any other way by hiking to it, and it is a gorgeous.
You can't get to it any other
beach.
way except by hiking to it.
Yeah, I probably said that backwards. Anyways, so it really is just a really well-known beach and a really well-known hike. You have to go up over the mountain, you go to the viewpoint, and then you go down the steps over the way to the beach. And
so you go to the lookout, where a lot of people, that's all they do is they go to the lookout.
Yeah.
But then you have to hike down to the beach, and so the distance to the lookout was 3.8 miles round trip, or 6.1 kilometers, which doesn't sound very far, but it's a up and a down. It is a good. If you have poles, you want to have them with you for sure. If you're a pole user, but we had our trail runners on, and I didn't have any poles.
Yeah. I was wearing my hiking Keens.
Yeah, you did your hiking Keen sandals. Anyway, so you go up to the lookout, which is your big gain, and then you don't have to go down to Wineglass Bay, but of course you're the beach. But of course you want to go, and that's an additional 14, 18. Not that we were counting. Steps down and back up again. So, and there's a bathroom down there. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you got to go all the way down there to go to the bathroom. But the beach you'll see, we're showing you pictures here. I mean, it was stunning. Every beach in Australia is stunning, but this was just even more stunning because like you said, you can't get there unless you either hike or take a boat.
Yeah.
And there's no roads, and so it's just this pristine, stunning beach. There were people swimming. I wasn't. It was hot, but I wasn't that hot.
The water is cold in Tasmania.
Coming up from the Arctic, so the Antarctic, yeah. So anyway, gorgeous hike, very enjoyable. How long did it take us? Like 3 hours or so?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit over 3 hours, and we took our time, and we got down to the beach, and I had a little snack and rested for a bit. I just watched the birds, and then as we were coming off the beach and we got back to get on the trail, is where we saw. I'm not sure if it was a wallaby or a paddy melon.
Yeah.
If all you know about Australia is that they have kangaroos, they've got different varieties and flavors of kangaroos.
These marsupials, yeah. So there's little paddy melons and the medium wallabies and large kangaroos. We don't know the difference. We can't tell the difference between a panda melon and a wallaby. So all you Aussies who are watching, if you can write in the comments if this was a panda melon or a wallaby. I think it was a wallaby, but you think it was a panda melon.
I think it was a panda melon, yeah.
Well, anyway, locals, help us out. Tell us what it was. Put it in the comments. Whatever it was, it was cute.
So, yeah,
it was the icing on the cake for doing the hike. Yeah.
And it just a great hike again, and they were just watching the birds and the seagulls flying around the beach, and just the breathtaking views, and just
and it was the hike was a little crowded. It certainly was. It was a beautiful day, and there was a lot of people on the trail, but it wasn't too crowded that you couldn't enjoy it. It was a busy trail, but not a crowded trail.
Yeah.
Okay, so our second hike, I think this was my favorite hike of the three that we did. This was unexpected. This hike.
I think it was because it was part of. If you like, Chris talked about those extensive multi-day hikes. In fact, we ran into another group that was on like the third day of a 5-day continuous hike, and we just did
the 3 capes.
Yeah, on the 3 capes. So we just did a section of it, and it was just stunning. It was just breathtaking, and had really interesting things around every corner. It was like one of these hikes where you're like, oh, look at that,
Yeah. So this was the Crescent Bay track hike in the Tasman National Park. And so it was 5.7 miles round trip with, or 9.1 kilometers, and a 925 foot elevation gain, which we'll tell you about in a second. So anyway, so you leave the parking lot and you're looking out towards the Cape, and incredible views of one of the Capes. And then you're walking along, and all of a sudden we hear this sound, and we're like, what? And we were near the coast, but we weren't on the coast.
Certainly weren't close enough.
And so we see this bridge, and what we realize right as we get to the bridge, there's this crevice like 200 feet down, and it's this blowhole of the tide coming in and out. I mean, it was so scary. Like the sound was like, that's what hell sounds like to me, I think.
Well, yeah, the night. I mean, there was a good thing there's a railing there, because I'm afraid of heights, and just looking down into this really like like this abyss with the waves underneath, crashing in from the ocean.
Yeah. So it was the Mannion blowhole. So anyways, we did not expect it on the hike. So then we continue along and down and up and over. It actually was a pretty relatively flat hike. I mean, there were some undulating
It wasn't
hills.
bad at all.
And then you get to Mount Brown, which is the top of the topper to the hike, and the nice paved, grooved trail ends, and then it's a real scramble to get up to the top of Mount Brown, and that's where basically your elevation gain was. We decided not to do that. I didn't have boots on and poles, and I just thought it wasn't safe for me to go all the way to the top of Mount Brown. And you could see the views on both sides of this mountain down to the different bays on both sides. So I felt like we had kind of achieved what
It
we
really
wanted
was
on the hike.
just the very end of the hike if you wanted to scramble up to the top. And again,
And it wasn't that
this
tall.
is something that I didn't feel like I was missing anything at all by not doing that last portion of it. And so
then we walked back, and then there was a sign for the remarkable, was it remarkable or unremarkable cave?
Before we got back, remember we turned the corner and we saw that echidna.
Oh yeah.
Echidna is, Tasmania's answer to hedgehog.
Yeah, to a hedgehog.
And he's just hanging out and sniffing, and it was just so cute. And again, it was like paid no attention to us, and this just incredible wildlife that is just hanging out, and you just like enjoy him and just.
Yeah, so then we got to the end of the trail, and there was a sign. It was for the remarkable cave.
Right, to go the other way along the coast a little bit.
And so you just go down, probably a couple hundred stairs into this cave. I mean, it was kind of like you could park and then go down the cave and come back. So for people who couldn't do the hike, it was remarkable.
The remarkable cave, yeah. And again, watching the fury of the ocean, and you're looking out into the Southern Ocean, which is the next furthest thing that's south of you is Antarctica. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And then our last hike, which was our longest hike, I was pretty intimidated by this hike. I mean, we'd had friends that had done it. They're all, you have to go to Cradle Mountain. You have to go to Cradle Mountain. The hiking in Cradle Mountain is phenomenal. And, we've done a lot of hiking in Colorado, and we know what mountain hiking is like and alpine hiking. And so I'm always a little bit concerned about high altitude, which, I mean, in Tasmania, the altitude's not like Colorado, but I always get concerned about weather, and do I have the proper gear and the proper clothing, the proper shoes and the proper this and the proper that. And here we are just day hiking in our trail runners and our hoodies. And so I always get a little worried, but it was a phenomenal day.
It was fabulous. The hike was fantastic. And the interesting thing about Cradle Mountain, again, the area is they want to really limit the number of people that are coming in and out with vehicles. So you park at the visitor center, and then there's a shuttle bus to take you around to the different trailheads and the different places and viewpoints and such. So the fee for the shuttle bus is $15 per person.
Which is about $12 or so.
Yeah, $10 US. Well worth it. Absolutely need to do it, because the logistics to figure out how you could actually drive your car into the park was just and find a spot that was just too much.
And the buses run like every 10-15 minutes, so you're not waiting long for
the buses are great, but we did the Dove Lake to Marion's.
No, Dove Lake to Ronnie Creek via Marion's Point.
That's what
so,
she said.
And that was 6.8 miles one way, or 10.9 K, with an elevation gain of 1,551 feet or 427 meters. So this was a great hike. So the first 3 miles or so, the first 3K, was it 3 miles or 3K that was around the lake? A couple miles.
About an
hour around the lake.
It's about an hour.
Yeah, so that would have been 3 miles.
Beautiful lake.
So you go around this alpine lake, gorgeous. And that's that's the only hike you do. It's a very easy hike, and lots of families and things are on that part. And then you start heading kind of across and then up to Crater Lake. And you can actually extend the hike up the mountain and up the chains and the ropes and things. Again,
this was another part.
Yeah.
The last bit, and our friends will say, "What do you mean you didn't go to the top? Are you crazy?"
I don't know. I'm getting to the age where I don't need to prove to anybody that I can climb a mountain, because I've got all kinds of mountains, notches in my mountain checklist. I mean, I've done the 14ers, I've done the 13ers, I've done Angel's Landing in Zion, I've done Half Moon, and I've done them all. I don't need to do anymore.
So just to say this, so those again, the last little push to the very top of the Marion's Lookout, we decided not to do that. We went
because you have to go up chains and so on, all this stuff. And
We
you know,
could have done
without the right, I don't have boots on. I didn't have
And it
poles
was,
on. I was
you
like,
know,
I
it was a
won't do it.
long day, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a long hike. So to add that, some people, you know, again, that will just do that and then come back. Well, we were doing kind of really a long circuit for
Mm-hmm.
that day.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And so then we ended up down on Ronnie's Creek and then caught the bus again. So it was, we were probably what, 6 or 7 hours, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was a long day of
Beautiful
hiking,
hiking.
and
Yeah.
that was just gorgeous and a great way to experience Cradle Mountain.
Yeah. So that's our three recommendations. So Wineglass Bay, Crescent Bay Track, and the Dove Lake to Ronnie Creek via Marion's Lake or Marion's Lookout. Tasmania was fantastic place to hike. The food was great. The people were great. The views were great. Everybody was just really hospitable. Ask if you need to know where we stayed in the hotels and so on. You can write it in the comments and we'll reply. But really just focusing on the hikes today. Hope you will put Tasmania on your list and you get to Tasmania because it is worth the money and worth the time. See you later.
Peace.